Hey everybody, how you doing? It's MC and Corey.
Hello,
Uh,
hello.
Thank you so much for coming out today. This is our first of many live
Inaugural.
events. Yeah, it's our first of many live events that we're going to be doing on the VeVe official channel with lots of VeVe staff members, lots of like inside, kind of like information, lots of interviews. You'll see lots of different people over the weeks to come. But Corey and I are here for the first one. How are you doing, Corey?
I am doing good, and it's so awesome that we're finally getting to do this, man. This has been a long time coming. A lot
I
of
know.
work went into this. So
Yeah,
I'm very, very excited for us to get to chat. A lot of
yep,
cool topics. What all are we talking about today? I mean, you've got quite
yep.
the agenda.
Oh yeah, man. We got a good show for you guys today. This is gonna be fun. Now, this is gonna be a fun show today. We're gonna cover some of the drops that we've happened of obviously the comics that are coming up that have come out. We're gonna talk about BLACKPINK and everything. We're also gonna be talking about a couple of reveals today of drops coming up next week. So stay tuned towards the end of this live stream. This live stream is probably gonna go about an hour at the most. So towards the end, we're going to do a couple of drop reveals for you guys. And we also have a giveaway here for 5 limited edition VeVe comics. That's going to go out to someone in the chat today. And then we also going to have a special message from David Yu towards the end of the live stream. And we're going to tell you where he's at, what he's doing. And we're going to talk about all sorts of stuff. VeVe Comics, the platform, the Scotty Young covers are in June. We're going to talk just a bit about that and show you the one that happened today. And, interact with the chat and, all that kind of stuff. So it's going to be a ton of fun. And I'm going to ask you, Corey, about how you're doing at the company. And we're going to talk a bit about, my first month. So it's going to be fun, right? So people put your, comments down below. This isn't like an AMA format. I just want to make that clear. This isn't like a huge kind of thing. We're not going to be able to cover all, types of topics that people want to know about yet. But we are going to cover why that is. And we're going to talk a little bit more about, the communication that VeVe is going to be doing even more and all these kind of hot topics and requests and the feedback that people come. We have a segment on that. We're going to talk about that. But Corey, how you feeling today, man? This is good.
I am feeling good. It's nice to have a live conversation instead of like a pre-recorded one. Most of my work here is obviously pre-recorded, whether it's interview or something that I'm making for myself,
Right.
for the company. So getting to chat one-on-one, getting to see the comments rolling in. Actually, I'm going to pop those up just so I can see what's coming in.
Yeah.
It's a huge treat for me, for sure. So I really appreciate you, taking the initiative to help make this thing happen, man. It's awesome.
Yeah, well, dude, we were planning on doing this for quite a while, and apologize to people if we haven't had it, this come out sooner. But we really want to make sure that it was set up right and have something that we can work on for like long term. That we can do this a lot. And I know a lot of the VeVe fam wants to meet a lot of staff that we have, so we're going to work on that. And we're also going to try to bring like some of the artists and comic book people and all that kind of stuff, to the live streams with some interviews and things that we're going to do. And then we can also, talk about, the biggest, hottest questions, the updates people want. We'll be able to like dive into that stuff. This is the first one. So yeah, this is something that we talked about like eons ago, before even you and me were at VeVe. You and me always wanted to do a live stream together. And we've been on a couple early on in the day. Once you joined, though, I want to ask you about about your experience at VeVe over the last couple of years. But once you joined, you were so busy in there working hard. It wasn't really possible for us to do like live streams together. So I know we did a couple interviews, which was cool. It came on my channel. But now that we're working together, it's it's pretty cool. What's it been like for you since the start, man? Like and then I'll talk about my first month too.
Since like the start, like since day one.
You don't have to go into like crazy detail, but it's I wanted to ask you like how's it been? Like how's your feeling about things? And
I think like one of the coolest things about all of it is I obviously joined quite a while ago, and sort of like your onboarding experience versus my onboarding experience, because the company's grown so much. There's so many people, there's like a formal HR department. And so whenever you came, there's just so many resources. And
yeah,
that's like an amazing thing from an employee standpoint. But in terms of things changing dramatically, I mean, whenever I got to VeVe, there really wasn't a formal way to do a lot of the things that are just standard now.
Yeah.
And so there's been a huge amount of satisfaction and hard work for me, in the sense that a lot of the things that are standard now are standard because we did the work to make that happen.
Right.
Especially for like video and promotions. Like obviously we can't just make videos, whatever we want all the time. It has to go through a process, and that process I was lucky enough to be able to influence and help create the pathways to do it. And
Yeah.
so now, whether it's someone like you who's just come to the team, or if we're networking with external, community members to create content, we have avenues to do that. That was never an option for us before. So it's been exciting. It's been a whirlwind, been a ton of work,
Yeah.
but super rewarding.
Yeah. How's the team around you? People don't know a lot about the marketing team. People don't know a lot about, like all the different people here. There's tons of people that work at this company that I've met. And, obviously we're going to bring more people on and like tell everybody what they do and, invite them to to the audience so people can get a better understanding of how it all works. That's one of the big things we talked about, right? When I joined as well, is to kind of like start sharing more about like what the company's doing and the people at the company. Cause there's like so many people that I've met that are just like, working their butts off. And I know the results, we're trying to get to them for sure. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but how about the team around you? How's it grown since you joined? Because when you first joined, that was like when did you first join? Actually,
I think it's whenever we first talked about doing lives with each other, which would have been DesignerCon Anaheim, maybe at the bowling alley. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, there was a party there. I remember I went to DCon in 2021. That was a really fun event. And I know we were talking at the bowling alley.
That's right.
About like, oh, it'd be so cool if we could do some vids together. And you were on the team at that point. Yeah.
And so since then, I think whenever I came to the team at that point, there was maybe 4 or 5 people total in marketing.
Yeah.
And now there's a big, robust team that's sort of separated into different branches, so different responsibilities. So like you're kind of like on the social team. So a lot of community engagement, social posting, networking with external marketing apparatus. And I'm on the creative side. So, we have like our creative director. I have an awesome assistant, Loth, who just kills it. And a lot of the people that they've onboarded onto that team just have like amazing experience. People from Crunchyroll, people from a lot of really legitimate companies that have a really good idea on mass market, how to create advertisements, promotions, and different materials that will appeal, to a wider demographic, which is great for me because I'm always looking to improve what I'm doing. Right. Like, I think that about me because we've been working together.
Yeah.
Continuous improvement's kind of my thing. Like, I always want the next thing that we do to be better, to reach more people. And I really want to look at those analytics, those metrics, the things that come back, and understand, why did this perform well? Why didn't this perform well? What can we do better? How can we reach more people?
For sure.
So and I think that's another big shift since I came to VeVe to now. Whenever I came, the need for marketing wasn't quite what it is now. And so now there's a lot of lessons being learned as we refine the process of creation, and telling the story, not just of the collectibles, but the people watching this live stream right now, telling all of your stories and the collectibles and the IPs and the properties that we have. And, making it very clear, what is a digital collectible? It's not just a JPEG, things like that. And so I think people are going to be really pleased, especially people that have been here for a while, this coming year. And you're probably already seeing it. Some of our videos are looking a little bit better. They're sort of targeting larger things as opposed to just drop focused. We're doing more information focused materials, which I love. And we're going to see a lot more of that.
Yeah, it's been pretty awesome. Like since I joined, I didn't know, like most people out there, we don't know about the amount of people that are working at the company. We get hints of it, right? So it's really cool for me. Like when I came in, the first, like the whole process of actually joining the team was quite amazing. I know it's slightly different than from when you joined because it's a couple of years later, and you don't have to get into all the details about that, but I know you applied just like I did. Like there was a job posting, so I applied for it. Just like anybody could have. And then there was a whole like HR process behind like how that whole thing went. It took quite a bit of time, interviews, like legit resumes, like we're talking like for real. And then actually once that whole thing went through, it was pretty amazing because then I got into the team, and then I was greeted by like a HR department that then walked me through all the kind of stuff, showing me all the different departments and people. And a lot of people don't know that about VeVe. They, they think it's a little bit more mom and pop, but it's actually like super high level in regards
Yeah.
to how they are now onboarding new staff members and making sure that they have the tools they need and introducing them into the teams they're going to be working with. And so I was like incredibly impressed. I was like, whoa, like this is, I mean, I didn't know what to expect, right? But I feel like it's pretty impressive. So when I joined, working with you, and we're in slightly different departments, just so people know, I'm more on the marketing side and you're obviously in the video and production and content creation and of course, creative side. So you have a whole team there. And so our teams work together on these initiatives and cross over a ton. We don't work together day to day, like exclusively. You have your stuff and I have my stuff, but the team meets all the time. Can you shed some light on just some of the meetings, that are going on? And I think it's just really good for people to understand.
Have you been in all hands, like an all in meeting yet, Aaron? Have you had one of those?
You know what? I've regretted so much. The first one that happened, like when it was about a week or two after I joined, I actually couldn't go to that because of the time zone. There was a conflict in my personal life with, my family. And so I missed that first one, that one. So I know there's another one coming, but I hear that's a really fun one.
Well, for those of you watching, we have periodic, maybe once a month, twice a month, all in meetings. And that's everyone at the entire company comes to this meeting. The founders, David and Dan provide some information, and different departments that are working on different initiatives sort of provide updates and insights into what they're working on. And that's another kind of big shift from, my day one to day now is just the number of people in that specific meeting, Zoom call. It's just like, what's the game where you have the cards and you're trying to like suss out who's who. And there's like all the little faces and you push down their face and you try to, that's what it's like. It went from being like, 20, 25 people to like over 100 people in this thing. And I think that's also a really cool thing, is because what we do, you and I in our department, we need to explain those different initiatives in a way that people understand that things are changing and how things are changing. If, there's different ways to do things, we need to explain how that works. Right. And so that's another cool thing, is whenever you go into sort of those one-on-one department meetings where they're explaining a new initiative, before, there'd just be a few people in there. Now there's a whole team, with a whole bunch of different insights, which is really valuable to us as we try to communicate different changes that are coming and how that's going to impact you in a positive way.
100%.
And I think that's going to be a big thing this upcoming year, because there's just so many things that have been cooking for so long, a lot of challenges with those. And it seems to me, as I look at the engineering teams and I talk to the web teams and design teams, all those different teams, that a big part of it is sort of future-proofing everything that they're doing, making sure that we're not just rolling out something quickly to have something out, but we roll out something that can last 10, 15, 20 years, and that we can constantly improve and change, But I think when those things do roll out, people are going to be, I'm excited for it.
Yeah, definitely. It takes time for sure. Just in case people are just joining us now, the way that this is going to go is, Corey and I are just kind of having fun right now, talking to each other for the first time in this kind of way. But the way it's going to go, we're going to cover some of the comics that came out today and this week. And of course, we'll talk about the BLACKPINK stuff. It's kind of like a fun drop thing. And then we're actually going to talk about some of the stats behind the marketing, which is cool. That's coming up in a little bit. We do have a giveaway as well here for anyone in the chat for 5 limited edition comics from the VeVe Comics platform. So that's going to happen a little bit later. We have 2 drop reveals for next week to show you guys coming up, where we're going to tell you 2 things that are actually coming out. So you'll get that here. They haven't been announced yet. That's going to come up towards the end as well. And then, of course, we're going to talk about what David is doing right now and show a special message that he prepared. That's how we're going to end the stream today. But in the meantime, we're going to, continue to go. Now, we'll talk more about the structure of stuff, but I just wanted to reiterate again, how amazing it is within the team. And it's tough, right? In some ways, because when we are in these meetings and we're planning everything, and then we're getting the feedback and the questions from the community, there are stuff that we want to answer right now for everybody and let them know. We just can't make the announcements until, like you said, things are actually in place. But I just want to reiterate to everybody that, the VeVe team, myself, yourself, and there's a group of people who are all on the socials all over and, obviously taking in the feedback. All this stuff that everyone's asking for is coming into all the meetings. I just want everyone to know that it's all coming into all our meetings, and the meetings are really robust. And, they're like, we're trying to figure out how way to tackle some of these issues and items that, we can't exactly announce yet. But, we want to make sure that people still have that reassurance that things are being worked on like crazily, and at the, and so for me, it's really refreshing to come in to the company and then see all of that in place. That stuff that's been happening since I started. Some stuff I want to also make sure people understand, some stuff is already set. And so when we have say a drop that, maybe isn't as successful as we want or the community wants, some of those things can't be changed at that moment, but we're looking at the next round of drops that come and reacting to them. So I know there's a whole meeting just around that with a whole group of people trying to make sure that these drops are going to work, and the numbers and the edition sizes and the functionality and the utility and the MCP and all this stuff, so we are taking it all in. And I know, Corey, I mean, I know for you too, because you're on socials as well and you're working hard. How have you dealt with that over the last year or two, where you're not able to quite say something, but it's coming, but you also want to reassure people and but also sympathize with that. They're patiently waiting.
I feel like it's obviously a little bit more of a challenge for you, being the person that people are, designated to go to for the information. For me, the focus mostly is ensuring that as things come to fruition, that it's being presented in a way that's going to reach the most people in the most logical kind of way. But it's really just head down, when it comes down to it. And
right.
All of us are doing a lot of work. And like you said, there's a lot of truth to that. I sort of just reiterate that whenever people leave logical, rational comments on socials and they get 60, 70, 80 plus interactions, those comments make it into our meetings. And I'm not just talking a meeting with me and Aaron. I'm talking a meeting with the entire marketing department and the marketing head, and even beyond that. So all of that information is being collated, but it's not just as easy as pushing a button and making something change immediately, because we also have to honor our licensors and the products that we have on the platform. And so we have feelings about how things should work. And a big part of the challenge, which is beyond us in marketing, a big challenge there is communicating those needs to licensors and other parties to ensure that we can bring that to the best possible conclusion.
Yeah, definitely. And wubba wubba, your
Wubba
question.
wubba.
Wubba wubba, your question right there. And I've been asked a lot about this in the last couple of weeks. Yeah, I took a whole bunch of, main questions and topics in. And just to explain how that works, so I tweeted that out early on. That was one of the things we wanted to do, was really get a sense. I mean, I knew a lot of what people wanted just coming from the community already, but the whole point of that tweet was to gather as much information as we could and see the main topics that everybody wanted to talk about and find out about and what was the most pressing on people's minds. So I took all of that data and actually categorized it in, statistics where we had the percentages of the top things that I then brought into our marketing meetings and our team, to make sure that those are the priorities to focus on in regards to communication. Now, we haven't seen a lot of communication coming out about that stuff yet, but, we're just asking for patience on that, because some stuff we can't quite announce, or we're not quite ready to announce yet. But that kind of stuff was, all brought into the team, and we continue to monitor all of that. So that tweet in particular was really engineered to gather a ton of info, because that's how you got to bring stuff in. You got to bring stuff in a presentable format, so then it can be discussed rationally, and then we can actually assign internally timelines and tasks about how to respond to these kind of questions. Some things, unfortunately, we can't quite respond to yet. And I know people are asking, Kryptoni, we know we love you. How close are we to interoperability? These are things that we can't quite, announce yet or talk about, just because there's nothing concrete for us to give you in terms of dates or times. And we don't want to do the mistake of putting stuff out there and then having it not fulfilled. So, this is all stuff that I think is really important for people to recognize, that this is not like a silent zone where it's all coming in, but keep them coming, keep the questions coming, keep the feedback coming. That's that's kind of the point of that. I think you'd agree on that, Corey,
And then
right?
part of that also is, and we're going to talk about it, or you're going to talk about it in this live stream, is the people to answer those questions are usually traveling all over the world. Like a lot of the meetings that I'm in with David and Dan are from hotel rooms for wherever they are, as they're traveling for different licensing agreements, conventions, things of that nature, like what David's doing. Where in the world is David? You is like the
We'll
question
tell
I'm
you
always asking.
yeah.
Anytime I have to set up a meeting with those two, like you get used to having to do a New Zealand time zone conversion. And they're like, well, I'm not in New Zealand. I'm in XYZ. And you're like, okay, so I'm East Coast and this guy's West Coast. And then this person's in New Zealand. And then, so that's a little bit challenging. But in terms of getting those questions asked, it's true. Aaron brought all those questions in. You collated it into a beautiful graph where you had like the top 4 pressing concerns from, what was it? I think you gathered 256 comments or something.
Well, it's like
that.
for me, it was the community. They responded in such an awesome way. And, and then, like for me, I could have just wrote that up myself because, being in the community so long and just, I mean, obviously doing live streams for like this entire time. I mean, we know all like a lot of the questions that I would ask too, but I really wanted to gather that data and bring it in. So, we'll see that a lot of those questions start to be answered here as
100%.
time goes on. And, all we can say is just asking for, continued patience, which I know is hard for a lot of people at this point, but, just know that the team is very robust and working super hard. Like, I mean, that's all we can really say until we have announcements. But when the announcements happen, it's going to be really fun. And D, like you said, great question. There's D right there. How you doing? So many, by the way, I just want to say hi. So many amazing people in the chat.
Yes.
Thanks for coming out today. This is not going to be a one-time thing. We're going to do a lot more. You're going to see
sir.
other staff as well here. We have like multiple layouts for more people and interviews and stuff like that. So yeah, D, the feedback regarding drop, all that stuff is brought in. A lot of the interesting things around drops and stuff has to do with, and we're going to talk about the comics and stuff, but I think this is important for people. There are certain things about the drops that people have to know. Like there's each IP is different. Each contract is different. And the numbers behind how they have to, do these you have to work for the company as well as for the IP, but also most importantly for the community. So as time moves on, these adjust, right? And, nothing is always set in stone, like moving forward. Like you'll see the way that this is adjusting as we go along here. But some stuff, happens, doesn't quite work out the way we want. That the team takes that very seriously, brings it in and goes, okay, what happened here and why and how can we adjust? I know, Corey, you spearhead a lot of that, being a community member and a huge collector, and there's a few others that are like,
we could talk about that for a minute, but essentially there's a group of people at the company that are selected to basically do a post-mortem on every drop that happens. And so we look at successes, failures. I don't really like to look at it as failures, but more as lessons learned. We're moving, we're constantly trying to change with the people that are collecting, what our current technology allows, what the licensors are hip and cool with. And, for a lot of those drops that are coming, those were signed into effect like a year ago, if not longer. I mean, there's still releases that are on the bubble that have yet to have been announced that were signed whenever VeVe started. And that's just contractually how it was set up.
Yeah.
And so whenever it's like that, the ability to negotiate or change the actual format or how it works isn't there. But things in this upcoming year and the year beyond, the shift in how things are released is coming. The way we release products is going to be changing in a big way. And I think in a great way. I think you'd agree with that as a collector and someone who's come from the community. A lot of thought has been put into how to reward collectors, make this more engaging and fun and unique, and really continue to set apart our space, because what we can do with digital collecting is different than what physical collecting can do. And we need to really dial in on that and sort of turn that dial to 11. And I think people are going to be pleasantly surprised. I know I'm going to be really stoked for it.
Yeah, for sure. I want to address this right here. Thanks, Brett, for the comment. And this is something that we need to I just want to nip in the bud right now for everybody officially. And I know people won't fully agree, but that's okay. But I'm just going to cover this for a quick second, if you don't mind, Corey. Why are you guys blocking anyone raising legitimate concerns rather than listening to them? Actually, Brett, that is not true at all. Please do not listen to the rhetoric that's out there that we're doing that. We do not want to block anybody. The whole team takes this very seriously. This is not something that is on a whim. There's a whole group of people who are really working with this and looking to make our socials super safe and actually fun, and also promote the people who are actually bringing up the main concerns and the best feedback and the critical, stuff that we need. Those people are getting drowned out by people who are not being respectful and not allowing other people to enjoy the fandom in a safe, and constructive way. So I really want to nip that in the bud right here. This is something that I can see that's going around on socials, that we're blocking whoever is just critical of VeVe. That is literally not the case. I know some people won't agree, and they'll probably try to tell you that. But honestly, we're taking all the stuff in and we're bringing it to the team. And, we don't want those questions and those comments and that feedback to get drowned out by just really nasty kind of social media sort of stuff. So, if you do have a question or a concern and maybe your account was blocked and you didn't feel justified, just reach out. Don't attack, just reach out, and maybe we can try to figure it out. And maybe, maybe there was a mistake there. Maybe we can get you unblocked. We don't want people to just attack. And that seems to be some of the case, but trust me, this is not the rhetoric that I really want to have out there. This is just an opportunity for me to clear that up. And that's all we're going to talk about that. But I want to talk about, Corey, as we'll go on a little bit here, in case you're just joining us. Like I said, we have more stuff to come with announcements and giveaways, but can we bring up the comic from today really quick? Because we had a Silver Surfer comic today, right?
I totally missed out on it because I was busy at a video project, and by the time I looked, it was gone because that one was only 2,500 editions.
Yeah. Oh, I think, we got a little bit of
there
we go, right there. Yeah, check it out, Corey. This one right here, I believe, sold out. Did you get one?
It's been a brutal Fantastic Four Trinity set for me. I went in
on what happened with you
on 48 because I was super excited. Silver Surfer Galactus FA, and I was like, let's do this thing. And so I grabbed 2 of those, and I got 2 uncommons. So it's just you
got don't you love the uncommon? That's the best. You get more MCP for the uncommon.
I'm common. I usually joke, we all joke I'm common gang, but I am I like the common covers, and I like the exclusive covers, and I really like the secret rare covers. And so, take what I say with a grain of salt. But for me, the uncommon covers my least favorite, and I got 2 of them. And I was just like, why
You're a collector, you can have that. If you don't have to collect them all, it's all good. The thing about this with the edition sizes and the price, everybody, we completely hear you guys.
Oh,
and, we're making adjustments on it for sure. That edition size and price right there on this particular one. The only good news, because I always talked about this on my channel before, was that, eventually, there potentially could be a burning event. And that's kind of fun for collectors as well, because Marvel does that over time. So, that also helps, but yeah, we hear everybody on the edition size on this one. And this one right here, the next day, how did you do on this one? Oh, by the way, I'll tell you how I did on this one. I went for one of these. And I got a common, just a regular common, and it's a great read, right? Of course, but yeah, if the edition size was lower and the price was different, I probably would have went for a couple more historically. But and believe me, everybody, we hear you. We brought that into the council. This is one that was decided upon a while ago, and but we'll make the adjustments on it. This one right here, you can see was $6.99, and I think it was 6,000 editions. So. This one is still, I think it's still available, not quite sold out yet either. So we're monitoring that. That's interesting. But how did you do on this one?
Uncommon for me, but I'll probably get all of those. I really like the covers. Galactus is so cool.
Yeah, I know, right? This is
featured on the cover. I thought the exclusive covers for that one were really cool. And it's also cool getting the secret rare, really the common, the uncommon, and the rare. If there was a thing that's really cool about those, is that's attributed to the original artist, which would be Kirby for that one, which is it doesn't get much better than old Kirby.
I know, right? Look at the superstars in here. How you guys doing? So we're saying hi, everybody. Oh, I just want to thank Josh and On My Way for moderating today.
Yes, thank you guys.
Thank you so much for volunteering your time. And they do such an amazing job on our Discord, and all the mods and the volunteers there. please, everybody, make sure you jump into the Discord more often and interact. And thanks, guys, for helping us out today on your own day, like on their own time. They're here to just kind of like help out and be in the chat and stuff like that. We got Magic in the house. How you doing, Magic?
Hey,
Mr. Falcon's
so cool
here.
watching her playing poker.
Yeah, I know. Oh, can you believe that? She was all decked out with the VeVe gear too. Cool. That is awesome. Actually, I never found out how she did. How did you do there, Magic? And
I would have lost horribly. I'm terrible.
You don't have a poker face, Corey?
No.
I've seen your poker face in some of the meetings. It's pretty good.
But money's on the line, you know? No.
Oh yeah, it's your own money. I don't really gamble when I go to Vegas. I played blackjack a few times, slap down just a little bit, and then if I lose, I'm done. If I win, I go home. Either way, I'm done after one. But Osmond's here. How you doing, Osmond? And I'm just gonna say hi to the chat for a second right here. Art Heart, how you doing? You got a comment today and bought the secret rare for cheap. Congratulations. Nice. That's pretty cool. We got Nas in the house. How you doing, Nas? We got Matthew Lambie here, Backdoor Kicks. Everybody's, sorry I can't get to all the comments, you guys, but just leave them down below. And then, of course, so this one I went for, and I actually got a common as well on this one. And then I went for a second one, for my son, actually, because, see, he uses the iPad on, we have 2 accounts, right? The one account that my son uses, it's signed up because he's a teenager, signed up with my wife. And so he uses that one, right, to read. So actually I got 2 here, and then I sent one over to him. Like I sold it to him for like above the floor just because we had gems in there, just to, because he's at school during the drop. He can't go for the drop, right? So
gotcha.
Anyway, so he's got both the first 2 to read. And he's already, last night he was actually reading this one. He'd never read it before in his life. He's my son's a teenager, mid-teenager, and he'd never read this before. Isn't that cool? You can that's the power of digital,
like the
right?
cool thing about, the older Silver Age comics is the ability to read them.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. And then we got this one today. So how did you do? Did you go for this one?
No, like I said, I was working this morning, and then I was like, oh yeah, the drop. And then I looked and it was gone. Like, it was sold out, of course, at 2,500 editions.
Yeah.
So I'm going to see what the deal is with that, but I'll definitely scoop some of these. The ultimate nullifier, right? Isn't that the deal? Man. It's like Marvel's MacGuffin item. Love it.
Why do you think, and here's a little fun speculation, right? And this has nothing to do necessarily with VeVe drops, but this is with like Marvel and movies, because I know you're a big fan. Why do you think Marvel wants to release this particular series right now? I wonder what could be happening in the MCU.
Well, for our job security, I'll say that comics and collectibles released on VeVe have no bearing on what's happening in Marvel Studios, the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But if I had to guess, like, clearly the mutant explosions happening over at the MCU, X-Men, 97 has been so beloved. We're going to see Fantastic Four coming. We're going to be seeing a lot of these characters that we've been hoping will get like a fair shake. Like, I want to see Doctor Doom done right, like live action. I'm talking like, I want to see all those villains and all those heroes given a real fair shake at some solid movies, because I just feel like a lot of the past ones, I wish they were better, and I wish we'd have got more, because for me, when something does well, it means I get more of it.
Right.
And sometimes, depending on what your fandom is, that might be a good thing and that might be a bad thing. But I'm a pretty forgiving. Whenever it comes to my entertainment, I usually come in with an open mind and an open heart. It doesn't take much to make me happy. And so even if something isn't just like blow your socks off amazing, I'm like, I hope enough people liked it that they keep making more, of whatever that fandom is. And that's kind of how I feel about this.
Yeah, no,
it'll be cool if they start using this stuff, because then we've got the comics, to reflect it, which is just such a good feeling. And that's what like spec books, speculation based books are all about, right? The hope that that comic that was the origin of that thing gets featured,
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, no, I totally, that was kind of a fun question to throw out there, because, who knows what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And I'm excited about it. By the way, Magic right here said, she got knocked out a little over 2 hours in. Was so amazing to have the VeVe fam show up in the chat in such a big way. Best community ever. Aww. Yeah, well, we're right behind you. If you, if you go into another one of those, let us know, and we'll try to get it out there for you and support you on those fun adventures. That's awesome. Thanks for representing so well. I mean, it's so cool. Like, they had actually the cameras and the whole table. And if anybody else is doing stuff like that out there, please like add us, so we can share that that's kind of the fun stories that, I know our marketing team, want to start telling more of and like start sharing what more people were doing for
And it's
sure.
the thing that David loves. Like David sponsored a lot of different events over time. Like if you give the company enough foresight, it's not a guarantee that he'd be like, yeah, absolutely, VeVe will sponsor it, but he might. Like he sponsored Magic the Gathering teams. Like he sponsored a lot of different things, or the company has,
Yeah.
because it's great outreach. Like when it comes down to it.
Yeah, 100%. Look at Hinano. How you doing? I just want to shout out the content creators as well. Informint BE today had a nice YouTube live stream and covering all the drops as well. Thank you so much for that. I saw him in the chat earlier today too. That was super cool. Of course, we got the Twitter host, so Millie's doing a great job there as well. Hinano and D are doing the Real Uncommon podcast, doing that late night comic book one that takes dedication. And of course, Mahalo actually was doing the X shows as well around that VeVe Comics drop, like on X. So that's great. These are just a couple shows, but yeah, Hinano, a great point right here. And that this is what we're trying to do more of, and what VeVe really wants to do. And that's just something that obviously Corey and I talk about all the time. Doctor Strange with his great comic review just the other day. I mean, obviously he's got great vid. Bob Sales, like Bob Sales, one of my favorite people. There you go. And of course, Kid Arcade always killing it. So yeah,
we were just talking about Kid Arcade.
I know
2 days ago, I think you and I.
Right? And there's a lot of other people who are doing great stuff too. We see your socials. I reached out to a couple people on socials today that maybe are feeling a little bit like they're not being heard. And believe me, it's a huge part of like what we're trying to do. And I think if you guys are all looking at like you can see that this is happening a lot more. This is something that's a real initiative that people are really talking about, trying to share what people are doing, and like I said earlier, all the the ideas and the criticisms and the feedback and stuff, that's all part of it. So bring that in, So anyway, that's a great point, Hinano. We love it for sure. Now, this
whenever
comic,
possible, we're trying to do that too. Like we did send us your testimonials and we'll use them in a video if we can. And we did. Like if you go to the YouTube channel, there's now a company video that kind of explains what VeVe is all about. And Doctor Strange is in that video because he submitted a testimonial. Right. And we'll be using, we're going to be asking more often for more submissions from our content creators and just from our general collectors. And we're going to be planning to use those. So please do keep your eyes open on that and take it seriously, because we are going to be using those to the best of our ability in a lot of different ways.
100%.
And then one of the people on the marketing team, their primary job is going to be helping get content creators more of a platform. And I was kind of talking earlier about all the different initiatives happening on VeVe. One of them is Web 2.0, which we've now seen roll out. It's kind of like that refresh on the web page. Looks really, really cool. It's really, really nice, really clean. But more than that, just looking clean and looking cool, the team that put that together because that's an expandable format. And so eventually there's going to be a lot of different functionality baked right into VeVe 2.0. And some of that is going to be targeting our awesome, community of content creators. There's going to be a space for things to be featured. There's going to be a space for us to do highlights and point people to the content creators in the space that are making such amazing content. So please know those things are in the works. You haven't been forgotten about.
I think we're starting to see it, right? And actually, on my way right here, points out a good thing. You usually find merch at conventions. Now, this is something that we're gonna start talking about a lot more, and coming up to the VeVe events that happen, like at the Comic Cons and stuff. So there will be a real focus. I mean, I can say this with 100% confidence. For content creators and fan that come to the booths to actually like interact a ton more with VeVe staff, VeVe founders, interview spots, recognition, all that stuff at these events. These are things that are really that the team wants to do a ton more of. Come meet, you and I coming from the content creation side. This is super important for people who are like, making content to have that access that they couldn't have before or haven't been able to have. And so that all that stuff at conventions, and that's, so stay tuned for that, coming up this summer into the fall, with announcements that we have around those kind of conventions that we're going to be at and stuff. And what we're going to do specifically, like you said, there are people who are, that's their task that they've been appointed to, is to literally make people feel super welcome at these events, especially our volunteers as well. So that's stuff that's going to be, I just wanted to mention that too. Now look at the Blackpink stuff. Okay, we can move on here. And just so you know, the format today, guys, Corey and I talked about it. This hour goes by quick. Once we start talking,
Yeah.
we could be here for 5 hours. So we're going to have to speed things up a little bit just because we have obviously a lot of work.
We have a giveaway. We've got message.
Yeah, we got the giveaway coming up right here. We also have the reveals we're going to do. And but let's talk about Blackpink. And we have the David Yu special announcement at the end right here. That's coming up at the end here. But let's talk about the Blackpink gold and silver drops this week. I went for the first one. Okay, I went for Jisoo on Monday, or sorry, Tuesday. Actually, I think no, that was Wednesday, right? That was yesterday, correct? Yeah, because today I went for this for Jenny, and I did not. I got Jisoo, okay, and I didn't get Jenny today. Like it was just sold out like instantaneously. So I went for the pink one instead after I tried to craft the gold one, but it was gone. And like, did you go for these guys?
I didn't. But you have a family member that is into Blackpink, right?
Yeah, my daughter. She's
Blackpink.
She's got the posters all over the wall. So there's no chance I wasn't going for this. At least for her to see that stuff.
I might retroactively grab some. I don't know. I just don't know. I don't know a bunch about it, to be honest. This was one that I didn't cover very much. A lot of my knowledge at VeVe is based on what I'm required to make content for or research specifically.
For sure.
And, I wasn't really involved too much in the research of this one. And so I just don't know enough about it. And I don't know if anyone here watched my channel back in the day before I worked at VeVe, but I tend to base everything I do on my due diligence. And I just didn't do enough on this one to feel comfortable going after it.
Yeah, that's all good.
It looks from a product standpoint, they look amazing. Like they did a really, really amazing job. Has everything been released for this? Are we allowed to talk about everything? I'm assuming, like in terms
there's
of
the merch. There's the merch stuff that's coming up, right? Those giveaways that goes all the way into June, and I think everything has been announced so far. We're just doing the gold and silver statues this week,
and the stage.
And the stage came on Sunday.
Gotcha.
Right? That one came on Sunday, and
I thought they did a great job on that too. That thing looks really impressive. I was looking at it in Unity, kind of like zooming in and just checking out the features of it. Really amazing, especially if you're a fan, which there are a lot of. Like, talk about a reception. Amazing.
Well, let's talk about that really quickly as well. I wanted to bring that up and just to talk about some of the stuff around the marketing that went behind this. Now, everybody knows, in terms of the sales that we had, obviously didn't go the way that VeVe wanted. And the way the community obviously wanted to, in terms of like selling out immediately and how some of the drop mechanics were. And that's all like stuff that VeVe is working on as well. Like, believe me, we had a whole giant meeting about just Blackpink alone. And of course but the marketing initiative and effort that went into it, this is the way for like you said earlier, Corey, not all the stuff that sells out or not sells out, that VeVe doesn't always measure it just like that in regards to success or failure. So I was talking about earlier about different times and different fandoms coming in and, how long sometimes it takes. But we wanted to show a couple of these little stat things. These are just stuff that people can see, but you can see on the Instagram, the impression on just this one right here, 2 million. And then, again, another one, 2 million, and then 1 million right here on the.
And for us, that's a huge win. Like that was a big part of this, was getting VeVe in front of more people. And, there's work that we need to do to inform people more about what we do here at VeVe, which we're starting to release more of now. And so I don't think anyone's looking, internally as this is sort of a failure. What we've done is we've reached more people than we've ever reached in the shortest amount of time than we ever have. And now we just need to, VeVe Vibes, it's its own category. It's its own type of collectible. It's its own niche. And it's brand new to us, and to all of you as well. We're figuring out what is the best way to package, market, and release this in a way that people are going to enjoy. And so I think we've taken a huge amount of learnings from this. We've had some amazing successes. A lot of the videos and content pieces that were pushed out broke every conceivable record that we had in terms of outreach. And so now that we have, those people haven't left whenever we look at those metrics, they're still here. So our job now is providing them better information and access and understanding of what this is and why it's awesome, which is the fun part of this job. And so that's the next step.
Well, here's the thing that I want to ask you about specifically, because, being in charge of video and in that side of things, and obviously, with all the great work you've done and continue to do on all of the videos that you produce and make, and your hands are on that, you and your team, right? Because it's not just you in there, which is amazing. And like, here's a YouTube stat of just the Blackpink exposure just from this past 28 days. So this is one you grabbed actually, I think you grabbed this this morning, right?
Yeah.
And so how does this compare, to previous months when we're just doing all the kind of fun fandom drops and stuff and the Marvel stuff? Is I didn't see the stats before the 28 days. I only see it now because I have the ability to. This from what you're describing, this is dwarfed, just the exposure is amazing, right?
I mean, as I look historically at content throughout time, really the onboarding of Marvel would probably be the closest thing to such an expansive growth. And the important thing here is those are people that we now can reach. So now the initiative is more sort of 101 type of content, explainer type
Yeah,
content. What is a digital collectible? What can you do with it? What kind of community is here? What sort of social opportunities are here? How do you buy and sell these things? Can you buy and sell these things? Like, these are, to the people that have been here for a long time, it makes the most sense in the world, and it's just secondhand knowledge. But as we add, as you can see here, 4.1K people that we can now reach, and those are new people that have never even touched VeVe and are a completely new demographic of collector.
yeah,
And a lot of those people may not even think of themselves as collectors, which is perfectly fine. I think a lot of people collect a lot of things and don't think of themselves as collectors. Like, my mom has I don't know, 250 cookbooks kind of thing. But I doubt she would say she's a cookbook collector, but clearly there's a thing that she likes to accumulate. And
yeah,
these are the same types of people. So now the job is narrowing that message so we can reach them better.
yeah,
It's
for
awesome.
sure.
It's really exciting to see.
VeVe Discord fam, backdoor kicks. How you doing?
Backdoor kicks. Win sneakers, right? Isn't that the question?
Yeah, for sure. Okay, let's bump on right here, and we'll have more lives where we'll cover more stuff. I wanted to quickly ask you about the VeVe comics this week, and also I wanted to mention to people that June. Okay, so June on VeVe Comics, there are a ton of Scotty Young covers in case people are into that. I actually went for the comics, 3 of them on Wednesday, and I was, watching Hinano and D's stream there and all that. I got the Helverine Scotty Young right there, just on the drop, the uncommon on that Helverine #1. That's pretty cool. But there are a ton of Scotty Young covers that are coming, and so we're gonna be starting to show a lot of that because I know that's super popular for people. These are just the newer comics that are coming. What are your thoughts about the platform? And I'm really liking it. I'm really enjoying going after some of these new comics and reading the stories. I'm only going after the stories that I want to read.
That's it.
I'm only going after the stories I'm following and reading them, and then I'll hit the limited edition just for fun, so I can have it in my VeVe collection and read it there. But how are you approaching it? Are you going after these comics? Are you reading some of them? And I'm reading Spider Boy. I'm reading Ultimate Spider-Man 1. And I'm trying out new ones like Helverine. If I like this, I'll go for the second issue, just like I would at the local comic shop. It's the same difference for me. And yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's the biggest shift for me is I recently moved. So I'm living
Yeah.
in very rural Ohio. And before, VeVe Comics probably wouldn't have appealed to me quite as much, except for the limited edition part, because I could just go to my local comic shop. But now the nearest local comic shop to me is a super, super long drive. So I would go weekly to my comic shop, and they would already have set aside all of my comics. I would have subscriptions to,
Yeah.
Darth Vader, all the comics that I was into and I was currently reading. So I would just go up to the counter. They'd have my stack. I'd walk around a little bit to see if they had any new vintage case comics up. That was ooh.
Yeah.
But I can't do that anymore. So VeVe Comics has been really handy for that. So I can stay on top of the things that I really like. My son's a big fan. He's 8 of Spider Boy. And so that gives us just another thing that we can do.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at with that. I really do like the limited edition variant of it. I like how the website flows, how it's set up. I like the UIs. I think they're pretty intuitive. And I know that that's going to continue evolving. And, I don't know if we've announced anything, but, more imprints will be coming. So that's also really exciting because I think as those new imprints come in, it's going to get a whole lot of traction and attention.
Yeah, for sure. There's a whole group that are working on just the VeVe comics itself, just to
Yeah,
see
we're
what's
hoping
going
to
to
have
happen.
Josh come on.
Yeah,
Josh is the digital storyteller for VV Comics. So whenever
yeah,
you're using that really awesome panel reader version that's built into there to give you sort of the, it's a little bit like Marvel Unlimited's reader, but we had to develop our own. But that's all done by him and his team. Like he decides what you see, how you see it, where it zooms, how it pans.
yeah,
And that's a really interesting form of digital storytelling that I don't know of too many people in this world that actually do. And so he's a really awesome teammate. And we're going to have him on for one of these live streams to chat about that process, because he really went through it to learn how to do that, how to utilize the technology we had created for that digital storytelling.
yeah.
Tremendous guy, great history.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And we're looking at, I know the team is looking at all sorts of things around this in regards to limited edition cover options, in regards to price, in regards to edition sizes and quantity, in regards to release schedules and times. Like, believe me, this whole VV Comics thing is just getting started, and
Yeah.
it's something that's been launched now. And this past month or so, I've discovered, right, that because when I joined, actually, this was just starting to come out. Like I was covering this just before, but I've discovered like this whole month of like, or a month and a half or so of data collection on the site, and how our current fam is reacting to it, and how the target audiences that VeVe wants to go for, and the collabs they want to do, in the comic book collecting space. And if, so all of that stuff is all being like really monitored, because you can't, you need data, right? You need feedback, you need data, you need like how things are going, to make sure that, you make the right pivots and changes. So this stuff's being talked about all the time. These are the 3 comics that I went for, just because those are the ones I'm reading. And I really recommend, this is what the team wants, right? I know you can reiterate this, Corey. Like it's not about buying every single one of them, and like,
It
it's
can
about
be like if
reading.
that's what you're
Yeah.
into.
If
But
no, if
yeah,
that's what you're into, buy the like, but go for like read the books.
yeah,
Like
read them
that's
definitely.
what
What's
that's
Helverine? What is that?
that's like a demon inside a Wolverine's body. It's like his first appearance is like comes from Wolverine number 1, I think from like 1990 or so. I can't remember the exact comic, but
I'm gonna
it's a
write that
really
down.
twisted, fun storyline. So I don't want to spoil that issue for people, because you can just read it if we want, but or actually people can just Google it. But at the same time, like those 3 stories I'm following, the Spider Boy, I'm actually really loving the Spider Boy story, just me. And I got to be honest, like I wasn't into going into my comic shop buying a lot of newer comics and reading them until the VeVe comics. So I've actually been reading the stories because of this site. And I was now I've gone in and I've bought some some of the physicals to match, which you see behind me, right? And
Yeah.
I know you got that too, because it's kind of fun. But mostly I've actually just kind of started just buying mostly just these now, just to read them. Like Spider-Boy 7 comes out, I just get it here. Unless there's some crazy cover that I want or something, so I don't know. It's pretty fun. But we do have on this a giveaway for the
Giveaway.
chat. Okay, for the chat. And a giveaway is for 5 limited edition comics to one person. And actually, I wanted to show this. And this is important because I'm not sure a lot of people actually saw this. Let me just bring this in here. Is that up on screen now? Okay, so this was a giveaway that VeVe Comics on Instagram. If you're on Instagram, follow the VeVe Comics page, because there's lots of giveaways and stuff that are going on there. And I don't think a lot of people in the fam really are following them on Instagram, and of course on X as well, right? But this was an Instagram giveaway, and there was 40 different people winning 5 limited edition comics from VeVe Comics. That's 200 limited edition comics went out on this giveaway just by commenting down below under the thing. And so it was randomly chosen.
Nice.
All 40 of those people, were just randomly chosen, like just with a random picker. And then they were just DM'd, and given a form with a code that you could then redeem, and you get all 5 like a few days later once the team went through all the codes. So and that's just I was trying to tweet this out and stuff like that on my own socials, but also the VeVe team was tweeting it out. But we got a lot of entries, but not as many as we should. I mean, everybody should be entering this kind of stuff, because you're getting like free limited edition comics, right? So we're going to give one of those codes away today, because we have we saved a couple for live streams like this and stuff, and it's for 5 limited edition comics. It's going to go to someone randomly in the chat, and then we'll obviously just DM you the code. Just, you don't have to do anything in the chat other than just comment like you are, and it's just going to go to someone random, and our mods are going to pick that, and then we're, just randomly, and then we're going to just DM you and send you the code, and you'll win 5 limited comics. So that's the giveaway. So yeah, so maybe comment down below. Actually, we could get people commenting really quick. Not as an official giveaway, but as official way to enter. Any comment will do. But if you comment like if you actually answer this question, that would be kind of cool. You don't have to, but how many comics do you have in your library?
How many comics do you have in your library?
Me? Okay, well, I can bring it up right here. And so if we go to the BLACKPINK and we go to, this is my own collection, right?
This is the equivalent of me going to like your basement that has just like cardboard boxes full of comics, and you're just counting through them.
Yeah, I have like about 250 something comics, I think, in my collection on VeVe, but obviously between the two. And but it's been growing and growing and growing. I just going for each drop. You can see right there, those are the last ones I got. Just these ones are right on drop, right? So those from the order, right? So I'm around that range. So I'm well behind a lot of the some of the big whales, of course. But everybody knows about my amazing fantasies, which I just obviously still hold.
I think comic collectors are going to be sitting pretty this upcoming year with some of the changes to how comics are being released, some of the new imprints, and some of the sort of rewards for collecting, which really haven't been a thing too much, other than elevated MCP points for like a low edition secret rare would give you a little bit more. But in terms of sort of incentivizing the collection of comics, it's been kind of an overlooked little group, and I think they're going to be getting some love, and I'm excited for it because I am one of those people.
I know. And also in my physical collection, I don't know how many I have.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Because if you want to combine it between digital and physical, I can tell you how many I have on like VeVe and on other platforms, but I don't have a number in my physical. I don't know. It's not like insane. It's actually been a lot bigger in the past. When I used to own my shop, I had like thousands upon thousands of comics, obviously to sell. But those were mine in a way, and sometimes, by the way, it's very hard to sell a comic when even if you're like in the business of selling, and sometimes you get that comic, you go, oh, maybe I just hold on to this one, but you got to separate. So anyway, but I don't know how many I have in my physical collection right there. If you add them both up, it'd be pretty big right here. Jeremy's got 226. All these comments, you guys will be entered into the giveaway. So it's just gonna be random. You'll be contacted, just by commenting here today. Our mods are just gonna pick that. Lori right there. How you doing, Queen? How you doing, Lori? 345. That's pretty good. Jay Emmett's got 204.
Nice.
That's pretty good. Osmond's got 281. Oh, Beach has got 825. That's pretty good. Sorry, Bean Tech, you got 825. And then Crazy VeVe guys got 114. And Feels Good has 223. This is pretty cool. So, look at this. Mahalo's got 1,500 plus. And we'll just read a couple more right here. And
519. That's where I'm at.
You got 519. That's pretty. See, I got to catch up to you, Corey. This is pretty good right here. Thomag's got like 2,500. Phil's got 1,040. Art Heart's got 24. Only 3 secret rares. Yeah, see. How you doing? Great to see you as always, for sure. Backdoor Kits has got 471. So this amazing, you guys. I appreciate that. So just keep commenting, and we'll announce, of course, the winner on our socials. And it'll be all like, you'll get that code and everything. So I appreciate that. So we got to move on though. And I know you went to our format here. The 2 things we got left are the reveals of the drops coming up. We got 2. And then of course we have the David Yu stuff. So let's do the reveals right now first. Okay. And there's 2 drops coming up this week. And these should be pretty fun. I think people are going to really like these ones. The first one we're going to show you, this has not been announced yet, but it's coming out. This right here, this one of one with Adam Kubert of this Wolverine 88, the first time Wolverine and Deadpool meet. This is the one of one auction coming up on Monday. This is one of the most beautiful comics. Do you own this physical one?
I don't. I'm such a huge fan of the whole Kubert family. Like, talk about like just an amazing legacy, right? Like,
Yeah.
you've got the dad, Joe Kubert, who was like, whenever he was just a little kid, he was a letterer at DC before he was even an adult. And then he goes on to found the only accredited school in the United States for comics.
Right.
And both of his sons, and now one of the daughters, gosh, I wish I could remember her name, Emma. Emma is also now a comic book artist and writer. So it's just like that entire family has just contributed so much to comics. I love seeing their work and supporting it.
Yeah, this one's going to be nice. This one starts on Monday, coming up, and look at the cover right there. So this one will be announced, very shortly. But I mean, I want to know, like, I'm looking at the people who are collecting the one of ones. And by the way, this is something that we're talking about a lot internally, is like this area of collecting. Not a lot of people get, a lot of information about this. So this is kind of stuff that, we're going to talk more about these one of ones and everything, because that artwork section, we've released a bunch and we have lots like in the pipeline. And I'll give you guys a hint, like Scotty Young. I'll just give you a hint. Okay. You never know what might be coming on that, because I know he's super popular, but this comic is one of the nicest comics of all time. And, it's just such a beautiful cover. Like, this is one of those really iconic ones. And I think the artwork here on this one, this is pretty damn cool for the Wolverine and Deadpool that are coming out, especially with the movie and stuff. We'll see what else we can drum up for everybody. The announcement will come out, like the actual official stuff will come out on this one. So I
like one of ones because it's that's sometimes an opportunity for us to actually interview the artists, which we're trying to, like we did an Addy Granoff interview, which was just tremendous, like learning more about him.
Right.
But yeah, one of ones are always just way out of my price range. True. I wish it was a raffle or something, where we could all just like
we're talking
throw in
about
like
stuff.
10 gems or 15 gems. Yep. And then maybe every raffle ticket after that costs like the same amount. Like, you could buy multiple tickets, but add like an MCP spin to it. And then they would pull from the raffle. So then everyone would kind of have a shot at it, but we'll see. Yeah. That'd be awesome. Because I'd love to have some of them. You know what I mean? Like, I always look at artworks and it's 0 like on my profile.
I know there's like none there, right? It's always there. And like Steve-O, it's hard to outbid some of the big spenders on the app. That is true. And so, just know that, this is a topic, that we're talking about that internally, just because I think this is an area that a lot more of us collectors would love to get into. And I know they're one of ones. They're crazy, right? I mean, but this is one that I see and I'm like, this is one that I really would love to have. Like, I mean, I just love the, certain covers are all the art is pretty amazing. I mean, if I could draw like that, I mean, could you imagine being able to actually be a comic artist at that level? I know we have people in our community that are great artists. Like, could you imagine being able to draw like that? Like,
and that's the thing with the Kubert family. It's like they were born into it. You know what I mean? Like, whenever they were born, comic book art was just a standard thing in their home. That's just the trade that they all did. They didn't know anything else. It's kind of like Addy Granoff. Like, whenever you look at his history, and how art had always been a part of his life, even during the hardest parts of his life, it was always the thing that he did. And so by the time he actually arrived in the comic book world, his art was beyond anyone's expectations.
Yeah, 100%. Bobby G with 2,507 comics. Talk about a mess.
I'm talking about. It's awesome.
Yeah. Now we got our next reveal right here. And like I said, tune into all live streams that we do ahead of time. We'll try to incorporate all sorts of exciting announcements and things in there just for fun. We didn't actually put any of this in the description of the vid. We want you guys to show up and have fun. And so the next thing that I'm going to reveal for next week, and actually this is actually something interesting for me. This has a tie for me with Hinano and D, which is interesting. Now, they have nothing to do with the VeVe decision of the drop, but this is an interesting thing. Check this out right here. We're going to get next week on Tuesday, Avengers 85, which I have right here. Okay.
I haven't even seen this. So what is Squadron Supreme? Is that right?
Sinister Squadron, first appearance. And this, like, it's a pretty cool issue, right? This is like right on the cusp of the Silver Age. And this one actually was sent to me by Hinano and D.
Hey.
Like months and months and months ago. It's just like a really, like, they sent this to me. And it's just I mean, so I kept it, and now, like,
full circle. It's come full circle. So now we know if Dean Hanano sends you a comic, it's going to get released on VeVe, right? Like, is that what you're telling us?
Something. Conspiracy alert.
Dean Hanano, don't send me anything if you're still in here. I moved. He said he gets to my old address.
Yeah, no, it's cool. I mean, like, it's just, this is such a, like, this was such for me, like, because I just found out about this comic, right? Like, this is just for me, like, such a treat. I mean, it's kind of like, it's incredible, right? It's pretty amazing. So this is a really fun comic, really nice one. And this will be announced later today as well. It's coming on Tuesday to, in that era. And like, it's like what we talked about earlier, which we can't really talk about, but like, there are like, why this comic by Marvel? Why now? Like, it's kind of, right. I don't know. I'm just, just leave it at that. Just leave it at that, Corey.
What is that? Like maybe, because I mean, you've been in this long and I have, like the Squadron Supreme, they're like the foil to JLA, right? Like that was Marvel's basically mirror of the Justice League, right? So like all those characters were basically clones of the Justice League, because that was the area where Marvel and DC were always poking each other, right?
We're battling. Yeah, that's sort of how I kind of see it. I know there's other opinions about it, but it's an interesting one, with what they could do with the storyline and the characters that are coming up and the movies and stuff. And sometimes this comic is really interesting because it's decently valued. Like if people can go on Go Collect or other sites and look it up and just check it out, like how much the imprint one goes for. And same with the one of one right here. I mean, if you don't have this comic in your collection, just this one actually gets it's a more of a modern one, but it obviously, it's not cheap, right? Because it's just so beautiful. But this comic right here, this is the fun in comic collecting, is like, you might have this, like I have this, and they're probably, I might have to send it back to you guys. Okay.
Like it's kind of like Guardians, right? Like Guardians of the Galaxy. Like that wasn't a tremendously valuable comic or even a group that anyone really knew much about. Like people that were really into comics and read them knew who they were. But it wasn't until the MCU was like, hey, let's do a whole thing with these. And then it was like, oh, wow, like better snag that comic. And then who knows? Yeah. That's the beauty of spec books. It's the fun of the space, I think.
I think so, too. So this one's coming out on Tuesday. And, these are just two comics we have. Those are the announcements we have today. And, tune in for more ones. We're going to have like lots of really fun stuff coming up. It's pretty cool for sure, right? So I really appreciate you guys for coming out today. Now, we have only a few more minutes on the live stream. Honestly, we've gone over our 1 hour, which I kind of knew we would, Corey, because like we're about almost 15 minutes over, but that's okay, because I mean we can hang out for like another hour and it would just breeze by 100%. And we really appreciate everybody coming out today and everything. Now, we do want to talk about what David Yu is doing right now and where he's going. And I think this is really cool to share. Let me just see if I can bring this up right here. Okay. Because we're going to end the live stream shortly here. Now, like I said, the giveaway, you guys, that's the person in the chat. They're just going to get sent to us. Mods are going to let us know, and we're just going to announce that. So one of you just stay tuned on socials. You'll be connected to get that 5 limited edition comics, and then we'll share it, and you'll have some fun. And you'll get like I said a form sent to you where you fill it out and you put in the redemption code, and then within 72 hours you'll get those 5 comics. They'll just show up in your account. And make sure you're following the VeVe Comics Instagram for more stuff like that, because there's lots of fun stuff that we're going to do. But I wanted to talk about this really quickly, and where David Yu is right now. So for me, and this just goes back to my experience so far, is that I've been in not a ton of meetings with David yet, because he's been traveling a ton, and we can't tell you all the stuff he's doing because he's doing David Yu things, he's like out there
because the implant in your neck would explode if you said those words.
When they put in, when I signed up, it's a beep. The Escape from New York. If you guys remember that movie, that was like initial day. No, but right now, so everybody knows that he won Entrepreneur of the Year in his region, which is pretty amazing. For the company, right? And I wanted to ask you about this, Corey, your thoughts about this, because this right here is World Entrepreneur of the Year. And let me just quickly read something right here about this right here, if you guys don't mind. And this is really good. This is where David is right now. And he was in our meeting last night, from his hotel room, and it was an unbelievable meeting about drops and about mechanics, and it was pretty crazy. But so let me just read this right here for you guys, just off screen here. The only global program of its kind, the EY World Entrepreneur of the Year, convenes visionary founders, transformative CEOs, and business leaders from around the world in an ultimate global competition for entrepreneurs. So this is like a competition. This year's cohort represents 47 countries and territories from around the world, including 10 from the Asia Pacific region. So each of these entrepreneurs, and David's one of them, have been named Entrepreneur of the Year in their respective market. Okay, so that's what David won already. And now they head to Monaco to compete for the world title, where a diverse panel of independent judges will assess the achievements against 4 criteria: entrepreneurial spirit. So we know David has that, just, that for sure. Purpose, okay, growth and impact. So leading up to this point right here. So that's where he is right now.
Yep.
That's where it is. So I hope you guys wish him the best of luck. Of course we do. And this is really also more great exposure for VeVe and what he's done. My thoughts about it, Corey, and I wanted to ask you, what do you think about David's impact, specifically because you've worked with him now for like a few years? And my initial thoughts about it are, when I look at the team now that I've joined, what I didn't know, and what a lot of people don't know, what we're going to be more clear about and communicate out to everybody, there are people all around the world that work at this company. Like, I'm in Canada. People know that. People know you're in the United States. There's people like all around the world who work in completely different time zones. So like VeVe's like on a 24-hour sort of work day. Just so everybody knows, the work never stops at VeVe. It's not like Friday at 5, the whole company shuts down and everyone's on the weekend. No, like today, it's Thursday for us. People who like say live in New Zealand, for example, it's
the rest
Friday.
Of our team.
Yeah, the rest of our team, most of our team. But there's people all around the world. So I'm having a company that is able to function at the level that it is. And I know everybody, we're working hard to produce the results that people want and answer those questions and hit those marks. But to be able to have the coordination on that, I think is pretty incredible. I think that's part of one of the reasons he's been able to build a company that is so like multinational in regards to just staff, not to mention just the markets, right? Well, what is your impression of like that?
Well, I mean, there's different kind of leaders. Whenever I had to take like business classes in college, obviously, and they talk about the different types of leaders and their effectiveness. It's also a thing whenever I was in the military that they would talk about. And, there's inspirational leaders. Inspirational leaders are the ones that are kind of like your Steve Jobs. They like have these huge ideas and they inspire. And what's interesting about David is he's just a mishmash of so many of those really important traits that makes for such a well-rounded leader. This is a space that he understands better than really anyone else that he's created. And so whenever I see things like this, like clearly he took Entrepreneur of the Year for the country of New Zealand, and now he's going to be on that global stage. And I just know, and just from the few meetings that you've had with him, what an impact that's going to be, because it's kind of like when you look at BLACKPINK and the number of eyes and the number of people that have never even heard of a digital collectible, have no idea what a VeVe is, now at least have heard the word VeVe. It's going to be the same thing on this global stage with some of the most amazing entrepreneurs in the world. And there's not a better spokesperson that exists than David, like when it comes down to it. So you just know, like, that's what I'm really excited for, like in our all in meeting, because I know whatever happens with this, after he wins it, of course, but whatever happens and we have our all hands meeting, he's going to share that experience. And I'm excited to see, who did he meet? Who did he talk to? Like, any potential partnerships come of this? Because I think that's a thing that David always does. Anywhere he goes, in his head, he's like, could this be a partner? Could this be a person? He always.
What do you think he's doing there, right? Do you
That's
think he's like, what kind of conversations in like other companies and stuff do you think he's? I mean, we don't know. We have no clue. I mean, you'll find out. You'll get
from an evolutionary standpoint, whenever I got here and this company was, very small, and to what it is now, and the CEOs winning awards like this, it makes you feel good to be here at these starting stages as we're building this thing. Because we're just starting, like when it comes down to it. And I think you know this now that you've kind of been behind the curtain and you've seen all these different teams and all the different things they're doing. Like what all of you that are watching are experiencing is you're still experiencing, or I wouldn't say it's a startup anymore, but you're experiencing a building stage, and the things that are going to be built are going to be amazing. So I'm stoked.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. Hey, Batman Who Laughs, just make sure you DM, check your DM on Instagram, because if you haven't received that code, then we'll get it to you. Just make sure you DM there. And we got people who are monitoring that still. And if you haven't received it yet, just reach out. And like I said, on Instagram in the DMs, you would have been sent a DM with the link to the form and given your code. And we'll double check that after the live stream to make sure that if you didn't get yours yet, we'll get it to you. So hopefully that's okay. But yeah, just reach out and we'll help you there. Now, Corey, do you have any last things you want to talk about? Before we show our David Yu video that he left for us today, to tell everybody and to hang out, and any last thing on our first live stream?
I know. I think if I had any last words, it would be thank you so much for coming to hang out with us first. Thank you, Aaron, or MC, for putting this together, giving us a space where we can talk and start sharing a little bit more. A lot of the things that people are asking for are going to be coming to fruition. A lot of irons in the fire. And in terms of community updates or information, those are going to be provided. But obviously, a lot of the people that we need to do those things are constantly out. So we're trying to formulate a better way and a different way of providing getting those answers to those questions, which might be short video sound bites. It might be messages from the founders. It might be things like that.
Yeah.
Because at this point, half of the meetings that we have with David and Dan, a lot of the executive team they're in hotels, and it's a weird time zone, and they don't have their camera on because it's like 2 a.m. for them, which just goes to show you how dedicated David and Dan and all these guys are, that they're taking meetings at 3 a.m. their time in the dark in a hotel room, jet lagged. But they're still making all their weekly meetings, which is an exciting thing. And this is episode 1 of season 8, because we are in season 8 of collecting. There will be more episodes. We don't want to put a timestamp on it. We don't know if they're going to be weekly, but we are going to do them as often as we possibly can.
Yeah, and you'll see more than just Corey and I up here. You'll see all sorts of people. It's going to be super fun. And by the way, right here, just before we show David's video here and end the stream, if you want to become a volunteer, just head over to Discord. That's the best way. The mods in there that are volunteers can help you out, direct you in the right way. Because volunteers at events are super crucial and key.
They're amazing.
So just do that. Just head over to Discord, and I know Eagle and the team and the mods in there, and On My Way and Josh, who are in here today, will definitely help you guys out for sure. But yeah, no. And my last just parting remarks here. Like I said, I reiterated this at the beginning of the stream. Please know that all the feedback is being read and brought into the meetings. I know we don't have answers for everything that everybody wants right now. And believe me, the team, we're fully aware, and we only want to announce stuff when we can. And I know that can be frustrating, but please, stick with us. As you can see, we're opening up the doors a bit more and showing more about what we're doing and trying to share that. But just know all of that stuff that gets put out there gets taken in, and it's literally in the meetings for sure. Now, results will come, definitely. And I can't wait for the announcements to come up for you guys. And I just also want to clarify, I'm going to be very direct right here. I talked to, this has been big topic of conversation on the socials about VeVe's, blocking people and everything. Remember, we are not fans of blocking. We don't want to do that to our community, but we have to keep our socials a safe and respectful place. Not people who are critical. We love it. We want it. We know the difference. Everybody knows the difference. Please do not listen to the rhetoric out there that is claiming we're doing that. We're not blocking anybody because they have a critical view of VeVe. No way. Okay, that's the important info that we need.
Just articulate it. Like if you can articulate your critical view in a meaningful way, then you're more than welcome to have a critical view. But
you're good to go.
The second we're name calling and being disrespectful, we just can't have that.
Yeah. And if you have an issue where something's happened, reach out to myself or to other VeVe team members on Discord as well. And, we can come to a resolution and get it cleared up. just make sure that you do that. And, of course, right. That's what I wanted. But I also just wanted to thank everybody for all of that, for being so like in tune. The the BLACKPINK drop week, the amount of social activity, and I'm not just talking from the BLACKPINK fans, I'm talking about our core community, was astounding, and that to me was really like a positive, thing. The feedback coming in is always like positive about it. And I don't mean positive feedback. I mean, it's positive to be getting the feedback and getting the interactions. The live shows that are dedicated content creators that are out there just doing their things were so amazing, and there were so many people into those drops and continue to be. And the sales for VeVe, let us worry about that. We're going to figure that stuff out internally. That's our job. That's like people above us, Corey. We're just bringing it in, and but all of that as a team, we're working on it. But keep the interactions going, and support your content creators. That are providing really great spaces for people. Really great like environments for people to provide good feedback and criticism and fun, and try to enjoy, what we're doing here. I know sometimes it can be tough, but I mean, we're collecting digital stuff here, the best of the best, the comics, the toys, and it's only going to get better over time. So I really hope you guys appreciate that. You'll see us a lot more. So that's all I can say, but I think we should end the live stream here, Corey, unless you have anything else, and then we can just end it with David, because
Let's end it with David then. David's popping up, and 3, 2, 1.
Really, I want to extend my gratitude to our VeVe fans. Your passion for collecting is really what drives us forward every day. We stand as a beacon in the digital age, redefining what it means in collecting in digital era. As we move forward, our commitment remains to continue delivering experience, excite, and inspire. And looking ahead, my hope is to see VeVe become a household name in digital collecting, a platform where fandoms and all concerned around the globe to come and celebrate. I'm looking forward to see you guys, whether in our next live events in D23 or San Diego or in New York Comic Con. So stay tuned with more updates coming.